4th. Happy to be back for another great stream today. I don't think this one's going to take super long, so I wanted to get it going a little bit early because I think we're going to be in and out of here pretty quick today, so I don't want to really waste anybody's time. But today we're going to be discussing music apps for 2025, some of the best apps that you can have, both mobile and I believe on desktop as well. Most of these have compatibility with both, but I think we're going to be covering a lot of things that are primarily for Android and iPhone. So no matter what you use, you'll be able to utilize some of this stuff, and it's all music related stuff. There's apps to make music, there's apps for, brainstorming ideas, there's all kinds of different options. And I ended up finding a couple links. One of them that we're going to go over today is by Push FM. I think that one has a wide variety, so I want to go over that one specifically. And the other one is from Lander. I keep finding amazing articles from Lander. Shout out to Lander for making awesome content. And theirs is 10 inspiring music making apps for iOS and Android 2025, which you can check that out. It's going to be in the YouTube description. That one is primarily music creation tools like GarageBand, and they have a bunch of other ones in there too. But definitely check that one out. But we're going to go over this one from Push FM. It's called The Best Apps Every Musician Should Have in 2025. It was just published in November, so it's only a few months old. It says, with new technology coming out all the time, it's almost easier than ever to create your desired sound. Music artists have access to tools that can take their music to the next level. Technology has made it easier than ever to create, practice, and share music, whether you're a songwriter, a producer, or performer. The right apps can level up your skills and save you time. Here's a list of must-have apps for musicians in 2025 that will help with everything from writing lyrics to managing your career. So the first one they have is the one I just mentioned like 2 minutes ago, GarageBand, probably one of the most popular ones. It's only for Apple, it's only for iPhone, and for MacBook. You might be able to get GarageBand on your PC, I'm not sure. I don't know if they ever made it like the compatibility level where you could do that. It says, what's it for? Music production and recording. When we talked about the DAWs like a couple months ago, we went over GarageBand, and if you remember, I said GarageBand was like the most basic, simple one, just to get things started. I know a lot of people use it for just basic ideas, maybe even just dragging a song in and recording on there. I don't know about making beats on there. I mean, you can do it. I don't know a lot of people that do, just because there's not a lot of there's a lot of features, I think, but there's not a lot of in-depth things on there. It says why you'll love it. GarageBand turns your iPhone or iPad. I forgot about iPad too. That's another thing we talked about that day was making beats on iPad. A lot of people do that nowadays. Turns your iPad or iPhone into a mini recording studio. It's packed with virtual instruments, loops, and editing tools, making it perfect for creating demos or full tracks on the go. And it is completely free. It comes with your iOS device. So I guess, another reason to pay X amount of dollars for an Apple device, you get free GarageBand with it, which is super cool. So I've always thought that part of it was cool, that it was included with whatever you bought. So number 2 is BandLab, another one that we mentioned on the DAW stream. It's for iOS and Android. What's it for? Recording and collaboration. Why you'll love it. BandLab is like a social network for musicians. You can record, mix, and master songs, then collaborate with others around the world all in one app. Cost is completely free as well. Again, this is another one that I know a lot of people that have the app, and they will bring in their demo songs, They might like even record into their AirPods just a very rough version of the vocal takes, and then later on, when they actually kind of flesh it out into a bigger idea, they'll take it into Pro Tools or something like that, or they'll send it to their engineer to, drag those stems in and then eventually create the full song with that original initial idea. I've heard it's very helpful. I don't use BandLab. I've never used it before, but I do know a lot of people that use it, and I think it's great for people just starting out. It's good for people that write a lot of songs and record a lot of songs, but I think it's just great for people starting out and just kind of getting the hang of, putting those ideas down from your mind or from paper onto actual recording. So I think that's a great thing. Number 3, Ultimate Guitar, chords and tabs. This is for iOS and Android. What's it for? Learning songs and chords. Why you'll love it. This app has a massive library of chords, tabs, and lyrics for thousands of songs. It's perfect for practicing or learning new material, whether you play guitar, ukulele, or bass. The cost is free with in-app purchases for premium features. I've never heard of this one, but it does sound pretty interesting. So yeah, if you're looking to, learn guitar or just improve your skills, maybe improve your chops a little bit, definitely check that out. I've never heard of it, but it sounds like it would be very helpful. Yeah, I mean, I took guitar lessons when I was younger, and I can tell you that at least my younger self would probably tell you that it's pretty, strenuous. It's a little bit of a difficult thing to learn, depending on, if you're going for acoustic, electric, bass, whatever you're trying to learn. It is a learning curve, and it takes time. So it sounds like an app like this would go a long way in making that a little bit easier, which I think is something we would all want in that scenario. So hopefully, if you check that out and use that, let me know. Report back to me in the comments. Let me know if you guys have ever used it or if you plan on using that. Number 4, Ableton Note. This is only for iOS. It says capturing musical ideas. Why you'll love it. Ableton Note is a companion app for Ableton Live. It's designed for sketching beats, melodies, and harmonies wherever inspiration strikes, making it easy to develop ideas later in the studio. So again, it sounds like BandLab to an extent. Like you would put the initial ideas into this app, and then you transfer them to Ableton on your desktop or your laptop, whatever, and then you'd expand on those ideas and really begin to work out the fine details and make a full song. It sounds very helpful. Get those bass ideas down, and then eventually take that and use it as a full thing, and you'll create a full song from it. Next up is Notion, which I've heard of Notion before. It's for iOS and Android. What's it for? Music notation and sheet music. Notion makes it simple to write, edit, and play sheet music. You can compose on the go and hear your music played back with high-quality instrument samples. The cost is paid. I'm not sure how much. It doesn't have the amount, but it does have links to the sites. So if you go to this article and you click on the actual links for each one, I'm sure you'll be able to figure out more details on everything. But this is something that costs money. I don't think it would be that much, especially if it's on the App Store and the Android Marketplace. It's probably like no more than $10, maybe even less than that. But this makes me think of when I was in choir in high school. One thing we had to do was for testing every 9 weeks or every semester, we would have to do tests on sheet music. And I remember just not knowing any of the sheet music ever. Like you would have to really like transcribe notes and know the songs that we were performing. And that part I always did terrible at, and it was a requirement, you had to do it. I never did great at that, but I can imagine like an app like this back then that would have helped me tremendously, because I still to this day can't read music. I'm not fluent in any of it. I really just go based on what I hear and just my ear in general. I'm really not that good with notes. I mean, I can match pitch and I know keys a little bit better than I did, 10 years ago, but I still can't read sheet music. But again, it's kind of like that guitar app. It sounds like it would really help make that process a lot easier. So that's interesting to think about. Number 6 is called AnyTune. It's only for iOS. What's it for? Practicing songs. Why you'll love it. AnyTune lets you slow down music, change pitch, or loop sections to practice tricky parts of a song. It's great for learning fast solos or complicated riffs. Cost, it is free with premium features available. That does sound pretty interesting. Again, any DAW can do that. You can change the pitch, you can slow things down, you can speed them up. But if you only have a phone, you can't really do that all the time. This app would essentially make that a possibility to be able to do that. So really cool. Again, I don't have any experience with this, so I can't vouch for it. I can't tell you how well it works, but I assume it's pretty simple. I assume it's not super in-depth. Like I doubt you could drag a whole session in there from Pro Tools or FL Studio and then work with the full thing. It might just be for voice memos and just little like MP3s to drag in there. I don't know, but check it out. Sounds like something that would be good for on the go. Sounds like it would be pretty helpful. Next up is Koala Sampler, which I have heard of Koala Sampler a lot. A lot of people on my podcast who have been guests in the past have said that they use this app. It's for iOS and Android. What's it for? Beat making and sampling. Why you'll love it. This app lets you record sounds, chop them up, and turn them into beats quickly. It's fun, easy to use, and powerful enough for serious producers. The cost is paid. Again, don't know the amount. I assume it's probably a lot though, because it sounds like Koala Sampler is a lot more in-depth than a lot of the mobile production, we'll call them studios, apps, whatever. Again, I've heard a lot of producers that use this app. Even if they don't use it as their full thing, they use it for mobile because it has that ease of access and they can make things on the go. But it sounds like you can get really in-depth with making beats on here, which is pretty cool. And then again, I think a lot of people, what they do is they'll make beats here and then they'll export the files and send them to their desktop or laptop, whatever, and then they eventually work on those ideas later. But I've definitely heard people vouch for Koala Sampler before, so definitely check it out. I myself have not used that one either. Next up, Tunable. I almost said Turnable. Tunable is for iOS and Android. It is for tuning and metronome. Tunable combines a precise tuner, metronome, and recording features in one app. It's a handy tool for rehearsals or performances. Cost, again, is paid. Yeah, that can be helpful. It's kind of like, what was that one we just did? It's kind of like AnyTune, it sounds like. Just a little bit different. It's more about BPM and, like I said, the metronome and things like that. So just, fine-tuning your songs, that could be very helpful. So check that out. Next up, we have Splice, which is one of the only ones on here I have experience with. So finally, something I can at least give a contribution to. What's it for? Sound samples and project backup. Why you'll love it. Splice gives you access to a vast library of royalty-free samples and loops for music production. Plus, you can back up and share your projects across devices. The cost is subscription based. Okay, so I'll give you my experience with Splice. I've been using it now for almost 2 years. Ever since I got my most recent laptop, I kind of decided to shift the way that I had been storing samples and kind of doing everything. So I keep a lot of external samples on other hard drives. But I loved, when I signed up for Splice, that everything is stored in their own system. And once you create your account, it keeps track of all the packs that you have, all the sounds in your library. It does that for you, and it carries it across all devices too, which is super nice. So if you ever move devices, all you have to do is log in to your account, and all your stuff is saved, all your stuff is good. The way it works is, I can't tell you how much I pay per year, but I do the annual fee, and I think that renews for me in like April, something like that. They did raise their price a little bit last year, which I kind of saw that coming because they added new features. All I'll say, you can research it for the price and all that. All I will say is, if you make a lot of beats, I'd say it's a justified thing to have, because again, it's the ease of access, it's the ease of not having to go to YouTube and dig through all these sample things on YouTube, you know what I mean? Which I used to do a lot from like 2016 probably until 2020. That's all I really did. I was going on YouTube looking for samples, a lot of things that I didn't have permission to use as well, which is very difficult. Splice pretty much lets you use whatever they have, and a lot of the packs are curated by other musicians, which is super cool too, and they're all high quality sounds, you know what I mean? So they're not approving packs that are super low quality or samples that you're gonna have to work with. Like a lot of the samples that I've used from Splice, I don't have to do a lot of anything to them other than chop them up and, you know, get creative with them. You don't have to really EQ them or do anything crazy with them, which is nice. Again, there's a lot of, you know, controversy about using Splice and using it in certain instances, and the fact that everybody's using kind of the same packs and the same samples. I just never really think it matters, to be honest. Just go in there and have fun and just create. And, you know, again, I think it's worth it if you make a ton of beats like I do. It just helps you to get ideas going too in a lot quicker time. So I've enjoyed my experience. I hope you do too if you decide to use it. If you already use it, let me know how you feel about it. But I'm a fan. I was kind of turned off of it for a while. I had to really convince myself to do it, but I'm glad that I did, and I love it. I go in every week and check for new packs and see what I can find and just get inspiration even from that, even if I don't use stuff. So yeah, check out Splice. I think it's really cool. Number 10, SoundCloud, iOS and Android. Everybody's probably familiar with this app. Sharing and discovering music. SoundCloud is a great platform to share your music and build an audience. You can also discover new artists and find inspiration for your work. The cost is free with premium plans for more features. So they've kind of changed their platform a lot. SoundCloud, from the era that I grew up in, it used to be like DatPiff live mixtapes where people would just upload for free and you could just go check out the music. You didn't have to pay for it. A lot of the stuff people would put on there was only on there. And I'd say as of probably 2019 up until now, they've changed it a lot to make it more of what the other streaming services are. It's still not the same as a Spotify or an Apple Music, in my opinion, and I still don't like it as much as those, as far as the user-friendly aspect of it. But they still allow artists to do a lot with it, and they've really done a great job at monetizing the platform too. So you can actually make money there now, unlike 10 years ago when you really couldn't. It was more about discoverability. Now it's more streamlined to make some money. Again, don't know how much. I assume it's not that much, but it's an option. I don't really use SoundCloud in my own music. I have an account, but I'm way behind on even uploading to SoundCloud with my own music. I don't really pay attention to it that much, but a lot of artists have and still do have success over there. So it's just another platform, you might have success on, you might not, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to kind of dive in and see what you can do. If you could find an audience on there, go ahead and try and see what you can come up with. But I would probably start with the free version and then just work your way up. And if you get some traction, why not just do the paid version and then you can monetize, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So next up we have songwriting apps, Lyric, Notepad, and Songwriter's Pad for iOS and Android. What they're for: writing lyrics. Why you'll love them: these apps help you organize your ideas, find rhymes, and keep your lyrics structured. Perfect for staying productive while songwriting on the go. Cost: free or paid depending on the app. I don't know if it must be called them. That must be the actual titles of Lyric, Notepad, and Songwriter's Pad. And I think they're just one's for iOS, one's for Android. But yeah, definitely if you're a songwriter, if you do a lot of work in Notes or Google Docs, then maybe this is another alternative. Definitely check it out. Again, I think the theme of this whole thing is like anything to make your life a little easier. Why not test it out and see if it works, even if it kind of goes against the grain of your routine or whatever you're used to. Why not check it out just to see what's up with it, And finally, number 12, artist growth, which is for iOS and Android. What's it for? Managing your music career. Why you'll love it. This app helps you organize tour schedules, track finances, and manage your gigs. It's like a personal assistant for musicians. Cost is subscription based. I've never heard of this one, but that does sound pretty interesting, and it's a lot different than the other ones we named. A lot of these are for creation tools. This one is for management tools, which would be super helpful if you're an independent artist. If you don't have any type of VA or manager or any team at all, maybe this is worth looking into. Again, I can't vouch for it because I've never heard of it. I don't know anything about it, but it does sound like it would be interesting. I assume it's not super in-depth. I assume it's very basic, but if it works well and it doesn't have a lot of errors or anything like that, and you could keep track of all those things in one place, maybe that would be something to check out. And finally, it says why these apps are worth it. These apps cover everything a musician might need, from practicing. By the way, I don't like the way they spell practicing in here. Read the article and you'll see they spell it weird. I don't like it. Practicing and creating, to sharing and managing your career. Many are free or have budget-friendly options. So you don't have to break the bank to take your music to the next level. Try a few of these apps and see which ones work best for you. With the right tools, you'll be more creative, efficient, and ready to hit your musical goals in 2025, or hopefully even before the year is out. Don't leave it any longer. Get started now. So that is that. That is the entire article. Again, it's by Push FM. I thought that was a pretty good one. I thought it covered a lot of the apps that, again, I found useful, but I think you would find useful too. And although I don't have experience with all of them, I've heard of a lot of them, and I think they're worth checking out. So, again, you can check out the Lander article in the YouTube description of the video, which is called 10 Inspiring Music Making Apps for iOS and Android 2025. Yeah, so you'll be able to read both of those and go in depth. And that's the crazy part, is that we're at the beginning still technically of the year. There might be even more things that come up this year that, you know, you might stumble upon and be like, wow, that's a pretty cool one. But let me know if you guys, you know, use any of these or are going to be using any of them. Let me know, and hopefully, you know, you can find value in that. But we're going to be back next week, February 11th, and next week's topic is going to be about finding inspiration as a artist or creative, whatever you want to say. Different ways to channel inspiration, where can you find it to help you songwrite and produce and just make better music. That's going to be the topic, and I know there's a lot of things out there about it, so it's going to be interesting to kind of try and narrow that down into like a 30-minute segment. So we'll see, you know, what we can do with that, but hopefully you guys join me for that one. And again, we're done pretty early. I started early, but this only took, 26 minutes at this point. But thanks for sticking it out, guys, and definitely, like I said, check out the YouTube replay for this one and all those links. But until next week, we'll see you then. Stay safe, stay healthy, all that good stuff. See you on the 11th for Finding Inspiration. Until then, peace out, guys.